everyone, welcome to the Comeback series. My name's Aaron Turnbull. I'm the head physio and director here at Game Time Performance. And in this video, I'm going to be breaking down my rehab session with Charlie, an elite representative basketball athlete who's now 18 weeks post ACL reconstruction, lateral meniscus repair, and lateral tenodesis. For some context, Charlie's in what we call our power phase of our ACL rehab here at Game Time, which involves 2 gym sessions in the gym, working hard at building maximal leg strength, improving that rate of force production and power. So he'll be doing that twice a week in the gym. At home, he'll have a little bit of a home program as well as some graph site resilience work to do, just continue to edge forward in the biggest areas that he needs work at. And he's also running 2, maybe 3 times a week, 1 speed session or modified speed with acceleration, an example of today's session, as well as a longer slow run. At the moment he's running a 2 or 3k jog around the block, just getting Ks in the legs and starting to build a bit of an aerobic tank. Now, although with a lateral meniscus repair, things might be quite slow, the knee might be quite stiff, Charlie's surgeon was pretty progressive, so we didn't have to really deal with really constrictive weight-bearing restrictions straight off the bat, so we could really start to push the envelope and build that strength. So moving around now, he's got full range, he's quite a bouncy or elastic athlete, so that's never been an issue. So now we're really pushing the envelope when it comes to running in a straight line. He's definitely one of those ones that you're like, he'll definitely be back in 9, way before 12 months as he continues to work hard like he has. So today is an example of what a one-on-one session looks like with me. Today we're doing a speed session for the week, starting to progress some of the shapes that we want to maintain during acceleration and high speed. We start to increase the intensity in a straight line, as well as increase the deceleration volume within the session in preparation for the change of direction. We had a bit of time at the end as well, so we continued to work away at some neurocognitive work. This is really important to improve proprioception, control, balance, and to mitigate those neuroplastic changes that have been shown to happen with ACL patients. So to start off every speed session, we always start with some running mechanics drills. This is where we're our freshest. It is quite cognitive, where we're having to really think about different cues. A lot of the athletes that we work with, they're not elite track athletes, so some of these drills are quite foreign to them. So we started off today with an A switch. Really basic. We don't want to progress to an A skip any sooner than we need to. And the big cues for Charlie here were all about thinking about what's happening with that leg that's striking, hitting the ground. With a ACL reconstruction, they might be a little bit hesitant. They might keep their knee a bit bent. So we want to really make sure we're attacking the ground from the top and getting some good terminal knee extension on that stance leg through there. Another cue we looked at is always about fast knees, and we'll look later on. There's actually a bit of a work on for Charlie when he's sprinting, but the big thing here for him was to think fast knees and attack the ground from the top. We then supersetted this with some falling lunge catches with a plate punch, just increasing that eccentric quads element for Charlie's program in preparation for change of direction. Now, he's a basketball athlete. Basketball, it's all acceleration, decelerations, and very rarely are they actually getting to top speed. So this is a big part of his program, ensuring that when he does return, he's going to meet the demands of his sport. So I love the plate punch. Obviously, it depends how confident the athlete is, but you can really send it there, really challenging that base support on the landing and loading up those quads. We then moved to some banded acceleration marches. Love this one, just so that athletes can really feel where the optimal sort of acceleration position is, getting that good torso lean, being able to attack back underneath them. A cue I always use is thinking about you're on a treadmill that's not moving, and you think about getting that belt moving. High knees, and just really thinking about striking back underneath them, so when we do our acceleration drills, we're not essentially pumping the brakes if they're landing slightly in front of themselves. And then our last mechanics drill, we looked at some single leg alternating pogos here. We're just thinking about really stiff ankles, improving the efficiency of that stretch shortening cycle, trying to improve their RSI or the reactive strength index to ensure that we're getting off the ground quick. When we start to get back into some training and change of direction drills, we've got a nice stiff ankle and we're not kind of increasing that time on the ground. So just a nice easy one. It is quite tough, but a really nice one just to add in microdose a little plyo during our running sessions. We then moved into our acceleration component of today. Now we did some falling accelerations, running 15 meters at around 80 to 85%. And today we chucked in a tennis ball so that although he was focusing on the acceleration and hitting those intensities, we wanted to take his focus to the ball. You'll notice with ACL athletes and most any athletes with big injuries is that they get super reliant on their vision for doing movements and getting that feedback. So when we start to throw in a ball toss and something else to focus on, it really does take their bias towards that visual input. So there's a nice easy one, makes it a bit of fun. I stuff it up half the time, so it's something to laugh about and break up the monotony of rehab. But this is a big one just to add that. So essentially, he accelerated out of 15 meters, he got the ball, and then we just talked about a fast decel, finishing in a square position 2 feet. And then we progress later on to doing a bit of a split stance. So just a nice easy one. We've been doing straight line acceleration work for 3 weeks now, so just wanted to mix it up a little bit and get a bit more engagement and enjoyment out of the session. We then moved into some flying 20s. This is an absolute go-to as well. So essentially we had a 10 meter acceleration and deceleration area with a 20 meter block where we're holding 80 to 85% of his max speed in the middle there. Had going every minute, so we have lots of rest, thinking about quality here. So over the 8 reps, we've got 160 meters of those high-speed exposures, and this will be something we just continue to work away at to increase the speed, increase the volume a little bit, but just a nice, easy one to set up, and also something you could easily give athletes to do on their own as well. Now, usually during these earlier stages of a running program for your ACL athletes, you might use a field or a sporting oval with grass, a little bit nicer on the joints and the body. Our gym was packed and the field just had rain, so I actually kind of liked using the concrete out there. Obviously, Charlie's a basketball athlete. He doesn't have to run on grass, so it was a nice one to actually start to get those harder surfaces for him. We just have a bit longer rest here and there to ensure that we're not overdoing it, but generally for what we want to work on for Charlie, actually it was quite good to do it on concrete, I found. So he pulled up fine, checked in with the next day, so it's something we'll probably continually go at, purely just to ensure that we're working on that ankle stiffness, we're improving that power, and not wasting our time on a surface he's never going to be on. Then we finished off with 10 minutes of neurocognitive work. It's a bit of fun, it might look a bit goofy, but there's some really quality evidence around why we do this sort of neurocognitive work. It's been shown that post-ACL injury, our brain goes about a rewiring process to create movement and be successful with sort of an outcome or a goal and what's called neuroplasticity, but it's often quite inefficient and very heavily sort of biased towards using vision for our movement and getting that sensory information in. So what we want to do with these dual tasks is sort of take the attention away from the vision, starting to think about other tasks and the focus being on that, to start to get back to the brain working how it was pre-injury and to that of unaffected limbs. So we started with some forward bounds whilst dribbling. Now Charlie is a guard, he can dribble with his eyes closed, but just adding a bit of specificity and enjoyment back into the rehab process, throwing a basketball in there. So what we wanted to do here is just essentially, I told him to trace the ball with his eyes, like he's literally trying to burn a hole through it. Very unnatural for a guard who's just so used to looking at everything else whilst dribbling. So took a little bit of getting used to doing this, but once again, just throwing off the visual system so it's not focusing on something that's not moving and being really visual dominant on achieving a successful balance outcome, so not falling over. And then we just starting to bound forward and just throwing up and down, once again just tracing the ball up and down there. We then moved into a bit of a lateral step into a mini jump shot. Over the last couple of weeks, we've starting to add a bit of frontal plane work into his program in the gym and at home. So see here, we're just thinking about a lateral step and then accepting the ball, so focusing on that ball again, and then doing a jump shot, achieving a landing where your vision is somewhat impaired, so we bring the ball up to head height. So just adding these little drills just to continue to microdose this neurocognitive work. And then we finished off with our single leg balance whilst essentially bouncing a ball against the wall, and I'd make a sound, head look across, and to start off we did colours, different cones. He was really good at that. Then we just wanted to change up the stimulus. Obviously we did both sides, and then I started to get him to add up. So I said, hey, we're going to start at 5. I'd make a sound, I'd have fingers pointing up, and have to add on top of that. So a whole lot harder. Once again, adding some laughs into rehab, making it a bit more enjoyable, but also making sure that we're not just focusing on strength, we're not just focusing on power, but we're looking at those central and those higher centers to ensure that when our athletes are going back, they're completely ready. So there you have it. That's what an ACL rehab session looks like with me here at Game Time for our athletes that are in that power phase of their ACL rehab. Now, if you enjoyed this content, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. If you're an athlete that wants to step up their sports rehab because it's just not cutting it at the moment with their current provider, look in the show notes. There'll be a link there that we can start to have a chat. And if you're a physio looking to elevate their sports rehab, I've got a mentorship that I run to really ensure that physios can take our athletes from day one all the way back to sport. We've got our 2026 date set in stone now. So if you want to jump on the wait list, I'm only taking 10 per intake. We've got 2 intakes next year. Click the link, add your details, and I'm in contact soon. We'll see you in the next video.